A drink, barkeep.
Alrighty. Try this. I'll take that as a no then.
It's bitter.
Yes, and?
Well, you see, bitter is the most complicated of tastes. To the board.
The human tongue can taste around 100 different types of bitterness. Because of this, there are a lot of chemicals that can taste bitter. It's actually why most of us hate dark green vegetables. Scientists believe that as a product of evolution, the perception of bitterness is a defense mechanism against tasting toxic chemicals. Sweetness and saltiness, though, can actually cover up the bitter taste. Scientists have studied vegetables and found out that the most effective thing at covering up their taste is aspartame, or what comes in those little blue sweetener packets that your grandma uses. When we drink bitter alcoholic drinks, it actually has a drying effect on the tongue. And this makes us feel like we need to wet it even more, so we drink more. Add this with sweetness, saltiness, or aromatics, and you make for a very addictive drink, like a gin and tonic. In the production of beer, glucose is fermented in organic acids, which stimulates the secretion of gastric acids. These acids are responsible for the bitterness of the beer, and of course have a massive effect on the taste. In red wine, it's a very small amount of phenolic acid that causes the bitterness. The problem with alcohol is that it actually increases the perception of bitterness. So in a mixed drink, if you increase the alcohol by 3%, you can actually increase the bitterness by 50% or more. Bitters are alcohol extracts from things like plants, roots, and barks. In the old days, like ancient Egypt in the Middle Ages, they were used as medicine. Now they're used in cooking to flavor things like soups, salad dressings, or even pies. These things also end up in medicines even now. That's why a lot of children's medicines are coated in sugar, because they're more sensitive to the bitter taste than adults are.
All right, barkeep, another drink. But this time, I want it to taste good.
Alright, try this one then.
All right. Tasty.
What's wrong this time?
It's a bit sour.
And the problem with that is?
Well, the sour taste is also very common.
Do it up before.
To the board.
As with the bitter taste, it would seem we are born to avoid flavors like this. Though, just like the bitter taste, we can get used to it in things like coffee or sour fruits. The response of wincing or pinching your face when you eat something sour seems to be a pretty natural one, because very few sour chemicals actually give us energy, and of course that's what eating and drinking is all about. Acidity can be used to balance other taste sensations very well. It also produces saliva production on the tongue, which can wash out chemicals from the mouth. It's also used to inhibit microbial growth, which is what causes food spoilage. Sourness is used in cocktails to balance sweetness. It helps emulate the flavor of ripe fruit. Now, in history, the most common tools for this are lemons and limes, the reason being that they're very neutral in flavor. That is to say that they're mostly sour. There are many different acids that can be used to make your apple martini. Ascorbic acid, or vitamin C, citric acid, malic acid, like from ripe green apples, or tartaric acid, like in grapes.
All right, barkeep, I'll have one more try at this. Make it good.
This is the last I got.
Sweet success.
Finally, long-winded bastard.
Well, you see, sweet is actually the most important taste. It helps us seek out energy. To the board?
Yes.
To the board.
Sweet taste comes from sugars, proteins, and little protein packets called peptides, and is almost pure energy. Glucose is essentially the sole fuel for the human brain, and the human brain is a pretty greedy part of the body. So what the brain wants, the brain gets. And it controls the body, so it makes its fuel the most flavorful thing that we can eat. Since sweetness is what the brain loves so much, it actually can be very powerful in covering up other flavors, such as acidity, bitterness, or salty. Who cares if it's poisonous, spoiled, or could kill you? At least it has energy. We seem to have this deep, primitive need for glucose and sugar programmed into us right at birth. It can even cover our sense of pain. It actually has been used to help decrease pain in infants up to a year old. This is also why sugar actually decreases the awareness of alcohol in a drink. On our tongue, we have taste receptors, which are proteins that bind to chemicals in the food and drink that goes into our mouth. When the proteins touch the chemicals they're designed to bond to, they send a nerve signal to the brain telling it what's on its way into the body. Interestingly, we even have sweet receptors in our stomach. so that the body knows where the food is as it travels through our system. There are also sweet inhibitors, like lactosol, that bind to the taste receptors on the human tongue and will actually make us unable to taste sweetness. It's pretty much the most evil thing ever devised by mankind. Not all creatures taste things the same way. To humans, aspartame is about 200 times sweeter than sugar by volume, but to rats, aspartame isn't actually sweet at all. So rats will choose Coke over Diet Coke 100% of the time, which I think is something any rational person should do in the first place. Cats, on the other hand, lack sweet receptors altogether. This includes big cats like lions and tigers. They can, however, taste things that we can't. Cats have receptors on their tongue to taste something called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. And this is a chemical that's found in most living cells. This is why cats love meat so much.
Keep walking there.
The tongue can identify around a different hundred...
And it starts.
And it starts.
Nick was gonna stink.
Okay, this is the sciencey part. Math. Math. No, it's more like chemistry. In the production of beer, glucose is
Been a while since I've done a spit take. I forgot how wet I get. To the board. To the board. To the board. To the board again. To the board. To the board.
I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you like this sort of thing, check out my articles on aggressivecomix.com or head on over to fightforscience.org for more science-related videos.